Hello, folks. Mr. Bruce here. Today's another and the last day for the kitty stories this week. And it's 5 stories in one. It's called George and Martha, who are 2 hippopotami, which are hippopotamuses. Before we start, eyes watching, ears listening, voices quiet, body calm. The story of George and Martha. There are actually 5 stories. The first story is split pea soup, which is a green kind of soup. Martha, the rhinoceros, was very fond of making split pea soup. Some days she made it all day long. Pots and pots and pots of split pea soup. If there was one thing George was not fond of, it was split pea soup. As a matter of fact, George hated split pea soup more than anything else in the world, but it was so hard to tell Martha because they were friends and he didn't want to hurt her feelings. One day, after George had eaten about 10 bowls of Martha's soup, he said to himself, "I just can't stand another mouthful." So while Martha was out of the kitchen, George carefully poured his soup into his loafers under the table. Loafers are shoes. He put the soup in his shoes. Now she'll think I ate it. But Martha was watching from the kitchen. "How do you expect to walk home with loafers full of split pea soup?" she asked George. "Oh," George said, "you saw me do that? And why didn't you tell me you hate split pea soup?" "I didn't want to hurt your feelings," said George. Martha said, "That's silly. Friends should always tell each other the truth. As a matter of fact, I don't like split pea soup myself. I only make it because I thought you liked it. You don't have to ever eat it again." "Oh, what a relief," said George. "George, would you like some chocolate chip cookies instead?" "Oh, that would be lovely," said George. "Then you shall have them," said his friend. This is story number 2, the flying machine. Hey, that's a balloon. "I'm going to be the first elephant to fly," said George. Then why aren't you flying?" asked Martha. "It seems to me that you're still on the ground. And it seems to me you're not an elephant, you're a hippopotamus." "You're right. I don't seem to be going anywhere." "Maybe the basket's too heavy," said Martha. "Yes, George, I think you're right again. Maybe if I climb out, the basket will get lighter." Just then what happened? "Oh dear, the basket took off. Now what have I done to my flying machine?" "That's all right," said Martha. "I'd rather have you down here with me anyway. Bye-bye." Story number 3, the bathtub. George was fond of peeking in windows. This was something that society frowned upon, and he shouldn't do it unless it's your own house. One day, he peeked in on Martha while she was taking a bath in her tub. Also, a very big no-no. We avoid that. Well, he never did that again, because Martha picked up her tub and put it on his head and said, "I know we are friends, George, but there's such a thing as privacy." Story number 4, the mirror. "How I love to look at myself in the mirror," said Martha. Every chance she got, Martha loved to look at herself in the mirror from all different angles. Sometimes Martha even woke herself up in the middle of the night just to pick up a mirror and turn on the light and look at herself. "Oh, this is fun," she giggled. "She must think she's beautiful." But George was getting tired of watching Martha look at herself in the mirror. So one day he pasted a silly picture of a monster he had drawn of Martha onto the mirror. What a scare it gave Martha when she looked. "Oh, what has happened to me?" she said. George said, "That's what happened when you look too much in the mirror at yourself." She said, "I won't ever do it again." And she didn't. The last story is called The Tooth. One day, when George was skating to Martha's house on his roller skates, boom! He flew up in the air and tripped and fell and broke his right front tooth right off. It was his favorite tooth, too. When he got to Martha's, George cried his eyes out. "Oh, dear me," he cried. "I looked so funny without my favorite tooth, and it makes me talk funny." "There, there," said Martha, hoping George would not call a lawyer. The next day, George went to the dentist. Hey, you know what the dentist's favorite time of the day is? 2:30. The dentist replaced George's missing tooth with a lovely gold one. He was racked out. When Martha saw George's lovely new golden tooth, she was very happy. "George, you are macked out. You look so handsome and distinguished with your new tooth." George was happy, too. "That's what my friends are for," he said. "They always look at the bright side, and they always know how to cheer you up. But they also tell you the truth," said Martha with a smile. The end. That was pretty good. There were 5 stories, but they were short. I'll be back next week with more stories. Until then, be good to your folks this weekend and wash your hands. Bye-bye.